all. This is Dr. Mubin Sayed from Drbeen.com. Welcome to one more show. So let's start with this. So FLCCC sent me this gift. It says, "Thank you. You inspire the world every day with love from the FLCCC team." So thank you very much. And I love the hairstyle on this Dr. Mubin. So with this, welcome. And we're going to talk about the um, UK's vaccine restriction for children 5 years to 11 or even 15. And for the comparison's sake, I have the data for some other countries as well. Not exhaustive, but I think decent enough to give us a comparative understanding. So Germany has 5 to 11 years, one shot only. European Union, two doses for children. Germany, one dose. European Union, two doses. US, June 18, 2022. 6 months plus babies. Canada is very similar. Denmark, no primary vaccine in the coming winter from 5 to 17 years of age. No primary vaccine, so nothing. And the reason that they're saying this is that they say the cost benefit analysis does not show a lots of benefit because children and adolescent become less severely ill with the vaccine. And down in the discussion today, I would actually show you some assessment of what kind of numbers we are looking at. So again, summary. Denmark said from July 2022, no child will be given the first jab, meaning if they were going to start their series, they will not be started. From September, that is this month, 1st September 2022, no second jab. So if some child had gotten their first jab, that's it, no further jabs. Australia, 6 months to 5 year if the child is severely immunocompromised or has disabilities or is high risk. 5 plus Moderna or Pfizer. They had previously, I believe, 5 plus Pfizer and 6 plus Moderna. Now Australia says 5 plus everyone, Moderna or Pfizer. Canada, 6 months to 11 year, 6 months to 11 year, a smaller dose, I believe that is 10 microgram, and then onwards, the normal adult dose, which I believe is 30 microgram. This is the comparative situation. America 6 months plus, Canada 6 months plus with some qualifications. Denmark, nothing till 17 years of age. US 6 months, European Union 2 dose, I believe from 5 onwards. Germany 5 to 11, one shot. So now let's look at how the UK is doing. So the reference, let me just very quickly show some of the references. So this is drbeen.com, amazing lectures, and there is a link in the description. You can get them for a very low price. The premium content, 967. I actually counted them this time. So here is the Dr. Bean. Then this is NHS UK. And if you see here, 5 to 15 years of age. I used this data points from this page, although there are 5 to 11 as well in certain data points too. This is their joint vaccine committees page and their advice, and we'll go over that, some parts of it. Actually, I was surprised pleasantly how wisely the UK looked at the data and made the recommendation. I would say it with a little disappointment that in the US, for our debriefs or briefs and the vaccine committee's responses mostly look like already determined that this is going to happen and we're done. Here, I saw very good analysis of the situation and then recommendations. So I'm sure that there are folks who are still not happy with the UK's approach, but still that seemed reasonable. This is an article about the UK's approach. Then there is some more data here. This is the green book that I'm going to reference. Then some more data. This is the, why is it looking like this? Oh, so this is the NHS. This is Germany's information. This is US's information. This is, I believe, Australia. And then here is Canada. So with these references, all of these links are in the description. Let's start our discussion. So this is an excerpt from the Green Book from the UK. And this is chapter 14A, page number 25. On this, they say, by February 2022, almost all children in this age group, 5 to 11, will already have been infected with COVID-19. So they were basing on their, so a very interesting thing is that they said, we are not recommending the vaccine, or we are not saying don't give the vaccine or give the vaccine based on what would happen to now. They said we are looking at the future, and future waves could be more severe than Omicron. They could be like Delta, or less severe like Omicron. And they said, based on what we think severity will be, we are giving recommendations. So that's a very wise way of looking at it, that, hey, if the things became bad, then do this. If they became better, then do this. So one of their assumption is that by February, the way the infection rate was going, they said by February, every child would have been infected. And if that is the case, they say then later in their study or in their advice that because the children would have had um, an infection already, and they say that infection in some studies is shown to be more durable than the vaccine, we would rather, if the child has the infection, then not give them the vaccine. And then the other thing they said in their advice, that this is 5 million plus young children in the UK who would have this application. And now, of course, these are the gifts for humanity. They're continuing. So this is the page that I just showed you. On this page, here is what they say. This is from September 1st. And I'm sure that majority of you have already seen it. I'm just being on the same page now. Under age 5, under children age, sorry, saying underage, 5 and over. And so when you can say that over means what? It can be any age. They have on this page, the bracket is 5 to 15. On some other documents, it is 5 to 11. So I'm going to assume 5 to 15. So children who turned 5 on or after 1st September 2022 can only get first and second dose of COVID-19 vaccine if they are either at high risk due to health conditions or because of weakened immune system, or they are living with someone who has weakened immune system. I think this is a very wise approach. What you're saying is, if somebody is at high risk and it is maybe possible that their own body and their own immune system may not be effective against the infection, then sure, offer them a vaccine. Or if they're living with someone who may be immunocompromised or at a high risk, and maybe the child would not even know that I'm infected or would be able to handle the infection better, but if they bring it home, then that person they're living with may not be able to survive it easily, then sure, consider a child for a vaccination. I still feel this is much more wise compared to continuously saying, get your child vaccinated now. So in the same And just for reference, once again, if you see here, aged 5 to 15. So when I said I'm going to assume 5 to 15, that is because this page's title includes 5 to 15. Then they say on this page, if your child has the symptoms and you are thinking about vaccination, if the child has the symptoms and you're thinking about vaccination, then do the following. Number one, if the child has already tested positive, confirmed positive. I just made PCR, but whatever way is the confirmation. And if the child is not high risk, then wait 12 weeks before thinking about the vaccine. And I actually liked this as well. I love how UK looks at the data and the studies, incorporates them, all kinds of studies, not just one side that, all right, vaccine, 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 or no vaccine, no vaccine, no vaccine. They actually have both kinds of data. And then based on that, for example, here they said some studies have shown that if the gap between the two vaccine doses is 12 weeks, then the incidence of myocarditis is lesser. So that is a basis of saying 12 weeks. And so here they say if the child has an infection right now and they're positive, then wait for 12 weeks. That's a very similar thing. If you consider the infection to be a vaccine, then they're saying give a 12 weeks distance before vaccinating again, so that the child doesn't develop myocarditis, or the chances are less. So that is one recommendation. Second recommendation is if the child is living with someone with an weakened immune system, or the child themselves are high risk and they have symptoms, then wait for 4 weeks and then consider vaccine. And now the question is, wait for 4 weeks from what? So they say either the beginning of the symptoms or testing positive. Whichever is earlier, start from there, wait for 4 weeks, and then consider vaccine. I think majority of the cool beans say, no, what is my position if somebody had the infection? But anyways, this is their recommendation. I want to stay uh, honest to their recommendation, and I do not want to edit it. Then they say, if the child has symptoms and they have not taken the test, then wait until their symptoms are better. So wait for this child to become better and then think about the vaccine. This is a recommendation. However, once again, as I said before, 5 to 15, they are not recommending vaccine for healthy children, and they are suggesting only for those who are immunocompromised or have a high risk. And they have a table for what is high risk, and I'll show us that table as well. So now I think this is the basic gist of it. Germany 1 shot, European Union 2 shots, Canada 6 months plus, smaller dose and larger dose, US 6 months plus, Australia 5 to 11, 6 months plus for severely compromised. Denmark, nothing till 17 years plus. Now, some more interesting pieces of information from the JCVI committee. So this analysis was done in February 2022. They said here, vaccination of children aged 5 to 11 who are not. So see here, it is 5 to 11. So you just have to kind of go with different documents and their age ranges are different in them. Vaccination of children aged 5 to 11 who are not in a clinical risk group is anticipated to prevent a small number of hospitalizations and intensive care admissions in this population and would provide short-term protection against non-severe infection. This is very important. for two reasons. For me, being an American, looking at UK, to say they actually incorporate that in their discussions, to say this is a short term protection. Over here, if we, as soon as we say the word short term, people start ganging up on you. So here they said this provides a short term protection. However, it should still be good. I think later somewhere they say that it is still good for severe cases, which is fine. Then they also say the extent of these impacts is highly uncertain. This is very interesting. And not only they just write it down, they actually are making their decisions based on such information. Then they say vaccination of children aged 5 to 11 who are not in a clinical risk group is not expected to have an impact on the current wave of Omicron infection. This is very important. They're saying this in February. They're saying 5 to 11, if we vaccinate them in this Omicron wave, nothing is going to really happen. However, they say the potential benefits from vaccination will apply mainly to future waves. And they say there are two types of waves. The more severe future wave, the greater the likely benefit from the vaccine. Conversely, the less severe a future wave, the smaller the likely benefit. I would actually show you the numbers that actually allude to that the vaccine's myocarditis risk may be greater than the infection's risk of ICU and hospital ICU admission. I have that excerpt over here. Today, I wrote less to make sure that your eyes can directly see the excerpts from these pages. Then they talk about the health benefits. And they have three main points for why to vaccinate or not to vaccinate. And here they're saying, in comparison to the rest of the population, older age groups, evidence indicates that children aged 5 to 11 are at the very lowest risk from COVID 19. Rates of hospitalization, pediatric intensive care admissions, and death are lower in this age group than in all other age groups. In addition, the high level of prior infection, look at this, high level of prior infection in this age group of children can be expected to contribute towards their natural immunity against reinfection. There are some data to suggest that the natural immunity may last longer than the vaccine induced immunity against non severe infection. Can you imagine this, to find this in a document somewhere, in an official document? It tells me how much we are, um, how tightly controlled we are in the US for what goes in these documents and what does not. Anyways, this is table one from the same um, advice from the JCVI. And here, these are scenarios. In these scenarios, they're saying if you vaccinate someone now, we're talking about February. Remember, in September, this month, this all is stopped. Correct? So now only whoever is immunocompromised or high risk or living with a high risk patient. Otherwise, no vaccine for children. This is what they're thinking in February. They said there are scenarios: more severe future wave, prevented per million, then number needed to treat, then less severe future wave, prevented per million and number needed to treat. These are the rows. So check this out. More severe future wave. And for them, if you look at the definition of what is more severe, they're saying something before Omicron, Delta type wave. Per million infections, there will be 3 admissions to hospital. Is their projection if the wave in the future is severe? Or, in other words, 340,000 children will need to be vaccinated to prevent 1 ICU admission. That means 1 million vaccinations will prevent three, correct? Now, this same document references US's data, interestingly, and they say that in the US, the rate of myocarditis in this age group is 2 cases or lesser than 2 cases per million doses, and mostly after the second dose. So now let's look at the Omicron wave data and compare it to this. This is really interesting. So if you forgot everything from today's discussion, just please give me your attention for this one. Less severe future wave like Omicron, you will have to have vaccinated 1.9 million children, or almost 2 million children, to have one child in the ICU. Versus, so let me back up for a second. This is the infection. So 1 million infections will put zero point 0.5 children in the hospital, or about 2 million infections will put one child in the hospital. Compare that to if there were 2 million doses, then the risk is about 4 or lesser. So that is a cost benefit analysis. That is interesting. Then the question becomes, who are the children that they believe should consider vaccination? So let me show you what they are suggesting. So here in this document, I really always get impressed by the way UK articulates their case. So here, if I go to the table, this is table 3, and then table 1, I believe, has the I think this is the one. Yeah, table 4. So this is the clinical and other risk groups for children and young people aged 5 to 15. So if you see here, and I hope that my audio is working. So if you see here, chronic respiratory diseases, this is the children who are at high risk and may consider vaccination. Chronic heart conditions, chronic conditions for the kidney, liver, digestive system, neurological issues, endocrine disorders, immunosuppression, and they have a great list here. Asplenia or dysfunctional spleen, serious genetic abnormalities, pregnancy. So these are the, of course, not just for the 5 to 15, but generally youngsters. So that I think is very interesting as well. So I see in the comments there is somebody who is um, arguing about some, I believe, links. Links would not show up. So you don't need to post them. They would just not show up. Or if you want to post them, sure, but they will not show up. Okay, so this is the table 4 for what is the criteria. And they say ongoing 2022-23 eligibility for children in the academic year of age 11 to 12 is also present. So if a child who is a school going in this age, then they can have a vaccine too. Then they say, so why did they do this? Because up till the August's end, they were vaccinating. They said that this vaccination program was a temporary one-off program. I do not, maybe it was that way, but anyways, they say because it was temporary, because it was one-off, and we do not have further advice to continue it from our JCVI, we are just going to stop it. So 1st September onwards, it got stopped. That is on the page 25 of the Green Book. The other thing which was very interesting for me is that UK is saying the first priority or the first consideration or first option is mRNA vaccines. If these are not available, then Novavax. However, AstraZeneca is not recommended, and neither are they going to purchase more. This reminds me that when the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine started, it was before AstraZeneca, it was Oxford, CHODX01 something, right? CHAD01. I remember that in those days, we had these discussions that adenovirus vaccines can cause um, thrombosis and bleeding disorders. And there was a lot of pushback. The reason was that the first study that came out was from Germany. So people said, well, you're siding with Germany. I am, what would I do with siding with one or the other? And the AstraZeneca was then from India. So then there were some folks who said, well, you don't like India, that is why you're doing it, which is not the case. But anyways, UK has reached that point to say AstraZeneca not buying anymore. That is because of its safety profile. So now at the end, once again, the um, review: Germany 5 to 11 years, one shot, 5 to 11. European Union has actually approved both shots. US since June 18, 2022, 6 months plus. Denmark, nothing till 17 plus. Australia, 6 months plus. Canada, 6 months plus. So Canada, Australia, US are 6 months plus with some qualification differences. Denmark, nothing. UK, up till 15 years of age, nothing. And they both also have this qualification. Denmark is not saying just ban it. They're saying nothing unless a child has severe disabilities or high risk or immunocompromised. Similar message as in others. And I think that is a wise thing. You can't have a child or an adult who is immunocompromised and they're not able to make their own defense and say, well, you should not get the vaccine either. So that's, I think, fair. So this is the summary. Bambi is here. So Bambi, how are you doing? How is UK doing? So Pete says, I had AstraZeneca in early 2021. Third was Pfizer. Same reaction, all three. Wow. CHOADOX1. Yes. Thank you very much, Doug. Okay, so this is what we have. And I hope that you like this discussion. Majority of this was to put together in one place comparative list of various countries and how they are approaching children and their vaccination. The only two countries where I saw that there was an open-mindedness to say that the vaccine's adverse events or adverse outcomes may not be making them eligible enough for the younger children are Denmark and UK. Denmark actually went all the way up to 17, UK went up to 15, but they both said that, hey, the cost benefit analysis, the UK's authorities or the committee said there is a small benefit. Denmark simply said, we don't see a benefit. So this is the discussion. Thank you very much for listening in, for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share. And there is a link in the description if you would like to have access to Dr. Bean's premium account. And if you would like to support this work, there are links in the description. You can buy me a coffee, or you can use PayPal, or you can become a patron. I love it that you can just become a patron with $5 a month and help support this. Okay, so John says, Dr. Bean, if you were a country, what would be your vaccine recommendation for children? Okay, so I'm going to now attract some pushbacks because one of the groups is going to be upset. But here is my recommendation: no vaccines up till 29 years of age. So I don't even think that folks younger than 29 are benefiting a lot. So no vaccine up till 29 years of age, except for those who are at high risk, or those who live with the high risk, or those who are exposed to the high risk. For example, if there is a hospital worker, and even when they are healthy and they are fine and they are being exposed, then they can opt in to have it. For the younger children, 17 or younger, I would actually suggest these vaccines haven't proven enough benefit with enough safety to stay. So I would actually suggest that, hey, no need for 17 and younger. And then it is not mandated till 29. I think there should be no mandates at all, but especially till 29. Afterwards, one can say that, sure, take the vaccine. But that is how I will approach it. And I was thinking about it today. So, John, you asked a good question. I was thinking that there should be a flexibility to say, if a parent feels that they will feel more comfortable to have their child vaccinated, then it is really the parent, the child's doctor, their decisions, and we can't say much. However, plus those who are immunocompromised or high risk or disabled, they should consider it. So it should be open for them, it should be trialed for them, it should be tested for them, it should be looked at for them, the data should be collected for them. I do not like the projections as we are seeing here, but the projections that we have done here in the US, I did go over those. These were even more aggressive. UK did a very interesting thing, that they did the projection, but they said in case of severe and in case of less severe. The country is Bean Island. Yes, Bean Island sitting here in the studio. Me Be Gone says, what is the average age of those who died from COVID? Me Be Gone, I think that the COVID deaths in various waves changed. And the reason is very simple. The very first time when the COVID waves started, we were all sitting ducks for the COVID. However, older, immunocompromised, fragile, they were more the victim and faster. And we didn't really know how to operate very well in those days. So they became the first one to die more, unfortunately, sadly. Then the other groups slowly started getting the um, infection trickling in as well. So I think the average age overall for saying 2.5 years of pandemic is actually an incorrect way to look at it. Maybe per wave and per population time, you can do further averaging in them, but I don't think it's a good measure to have. It doesn't tell much. John says, want to move to your country. Please welcome. Skyfrog says, now you're in trouble. Yes, I am. Jojo says, thank you. You're very welcome. Sunset says, answer my question. Let's see very quickly if I can find your questions. Okay, Sunset, I cannot see your question. So let's do another 1 or 2 minutes and then we stop, because nobody watches long videos. So I'll stop there. And once again, please, my request, like, subscribe, and share. Okay, so here Sunset says, sir, is there any protection left in the innate or adaptive arm of an 11-year-old who had two doses 10 months ago and has no prior infection? Yes. So those who continue to say that the innate arm is destroyed, please don't do it unless you have a good scientific paper behind. conjectures, theories are not sufficient for this. And this creates an unnecessary worry in people. Innate arm, once destroyed, will not allow a person to survive for more than a few days. However, Proton effect or hook effect with the lots of antibodies is possible that can change the behavior of a person's immune system in the presence of multiple exposures or presence of multiple boosters. Similarly, exhaustions of the immune cells, especially T cells, is also possible. Similarly, the adaptive arm sending interleukin 10 like substances towards the innate arm to say calm down and respond less is also possible. That there is, but there is no concept of destruction of the immune system. Or if god forbid there is destruction of immune system, that means macrophages are not working correctly, neutrophils are not working, granulocytes are not working, natural killer cells are not working. We will develop cancers and infections within a couple of days and start to just march towards death. Okay, so last question, then we break. ZZ Berman says, please, do you know if it's recommended to get Novavax after 3 RNA post 1 year without anything? Depends where you are at. However, I believe that Novavax is okay to have others as long as it is a booster shot. So with this, thank you, Idania, thank you very much for your, I watch long videos. Thank you very much. Check out the viewership for the last 2 videos. Very less viewership, although I think these are the most important topics for all of us to live healthy and happy. And I started immunology from scratch, so it is also important to keep up with them so that we can then figure out how to be better. This is for us all. I really do not like when others tell us what to do and they assume, and if we do not have the right tools to think for ourselves. So these videos are actually to enable us to think for ourselves, and I started them from the beginning. So join me in that that series. Thank you very much. Like, subscribe, and share. If you wanted to support this work, links are in the description. I would see you tomorrow. Bye bye for now. And actually, Paul will be with us tomorrow.